Schefter, how did this happen? How did LeVeon Bell wind up with the Jets?
Well, Greeny, LeVeon Bell's agent spent the better part of yesterday trying to drum up interest across the league. And the San Francisco 49ers, as Jeremy Fowler reported, had some interest in a laid-back kind of way. They were waiting to see whether LeVeon Bell would take a short-term deal with them or whether he would go to the Jets. The Jets had varying points of confidence throughout the day. You heard, oh, they're getting close. Oh, they're not. Oh, they may back out. Oh, they've going to tell LeVeon Bell they're moving on. And the Baltimore Ravens have been floated as a possibility. Let me tell you this right now, Greeny. The Baltimore Ravens never made a single offer to LeVeon Bell during the course of this process. LeVeon Bell really was talking to the Jets. There were some other teams like the 49ers or Raiders monitoring the situation, waiting to see whether anything could happen. And then shortly after midnight, LeVeon Bell made the decision to go to the New York Jets, who earlier in the day had lost Anthony Barr, who had some extra money to find. And then, of course, when you have a rookie quarterback and you want to surround him with as many weapons as possible, it's a great advantage that Sam Darnold is playing on a rookie contract because, as is the case in Cleveland with Baker Mayfield, the Browns can afford to pay two high-priced wide receivers in Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry. The Jets could go out and spend big money on a running back. They did that with LeVeon Bell. That deal gets done late or early this morning.
Yeah, so we're going to get to Odell in a second, but let me just quickly keep you on Bell for a minute. What was the reaction around the league to the money? Because it's big, but it's not huge. He didn't reset the running back market as a lot of people thought he would.
Listen, he got what the market bared. He wanted to get to the free agency. He wanted to see what other teams offered. And we talked about this week, Greeny, right? Just because he wants to be the highest paid running back doesn't mean he's going to be. And he had a chance to talk to all these teams. He basically had his value determined by these other teams. This was the best deal that he felt he could get at this point in time. 4 years, $52.5 million, up to $61 million with $35 million guaranteed. Would he have wanted more? Sure. But he got to take last year off, didn't take the pounding on his body that he had taken in other years. That's his loss, the salary from last year. That was his decision. This was the best that he could do at this point in time. Keep in mind, he had some suspensions on his resume. He had a year away from football on his resume. He had all these issues with the Pittsburgh Steelers in that contract. So this is the contract that he could get right now.
All right, Schefter, sit tight. I'm going to get to you on Odell in a minute, but let me come to the table quickly here, and we'll talk about LeVeon. Dan Graziano and Dan Orlovsky with me all morning. I didn't even get to introduce everybody. I'm so fired up. But we've got the Dans here to tell us what happened and then what it all means. Dan Graziano, let me start with you here. People will ask the question, was it worth it for LeVeon with what he gave up and all that? You heard Schefter go through it last year. What is the answer to that question?
From a pure dollars and cents standpoint, no. I mean, he would have had to get about $45 million in the first 2 years of a deal to effectively make up for what he lost last year. Now, look, when we see the structure of this contract, we'll find out how much is guaranteed at signing, when does he get all the guaranteed money, et cetera. The numbers that Adam has would put him just above David Johnson in terms of average salary and make him the second highest paid running back in the league, which tells you that teams, when LeVeon wanted 14, 15, et cetera, teams were saying, no, the Todd Gurley contract, which is number one, that's an outlier. The Rams shouldn't have done that. That's not really what the market is. We'll give you better than David Johnson. So, no, it wasn't worth it, but he's going to be fine, and it's not as if he's poor.
No, of course. I mean, it's a lot of money, but there's some pride and stuff like that involved in that stuff. I mean, does the money factor into it at all? Now he comes to the Jets. I think there's sort of a feeling he just didn't have anywhere else to go. Is that a factor in any way?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, that's why he did what he did in Pittsburgh, was to get money, and it did not pay off. I found it fascinating that Schefter just said his agent spent yesterday drumming up interest. This is the all-time yards per game leader in the history of the NFL. Yeah. And his agent is spending a day drumming up interest.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Again, there's people in the NFL that devalue the running back. I also don't believe that a lot of people want to deal with some of the stuff. I mean, the reality is he dropped a rap album last night at midnight as well. Do you want that? Some of the off-the-field stuff in your organization, do you feel comfortable with it?
I guess that depends on what kind of music you like as a front office. But in terms of LeVeon,
Adam Gase is a huge fan.
Yeah, big hip-hop guy.
He's a big hip-hop guy, so there they go. Look, he had to drum up interest because people don't want to pay running backs. When you heard what Adam was saying, 49ers, Raiders, I think the Texans, he said laid-back interest, monitoring the situation. Had he said no to the Jets, there were other teams that were were willing to propose shorter-term deal. Are you interested in a different kind of structure? Ultimately, he was not.
Okay, I'm tired of this part of the conversation. Let's
Yeah.
get to the fun part of the conversation.
Your guys.
What does the addition of LeVeon Bell mean for the young quarterback, Sam Darnold?
Well, obviously, premier running back, okay? So running the football is going to be a big deal, and then you're going to be able to put him out at receiver positions and get those matchups you love. But the greatest impact is going to be in Sam Darnold's game. Sam Darnold, I've talked about, has this ability to kind of make these broken plays that, you know, a couple times a game, they're just these magical plays that only a couple of guys in the NFL can make, running around, throwing back across his body. But at the same time, it could be those one or two plays that force mistakes out of him that all those great plays are going to be there. But for Sam Darnold to go from good to great, he's got to get rid of that one or two bad plays a game. LeVeon Bell is smart enough as a running back to know, man, I got to get out. This guy got beat in protection. I got great screen feel. Okay, you want to put a linebacker on me one-on-one. So you're not necessarily going to have to get Sam Darnold running around all over the place and being exposed to some of those freak plays. But LeVeon Bell is going to be that guy to get in matchup situations, to get one-on-one on linebackers, to have the opportunity to make sure that Sam Darnold doesn't necessarily have to do it himself. It's those broken plays. LeVeon Bell is going to be that 911 type throw, that emergency line. I've got something bad happening. Let me get it to one of the best running backs in football.
All right.